This is from Newsweek. Gavin Newsom's podcast remarks sparks backlash from Democrats. Gavin Newsom knows what he's doing.
Yep.
You mentioned, Phil, that the Democrats don't have a platform anymore. Gavin Newsom is, and I bet they discussed this a year ago. After Trump wins, assuming he does, we need to start rebuilding a Democrat identity and who's going to be in charge. And as we were mentioning in the previous segment, you mentioned MSNBC's bringing a new, more moderated Democrat. Stephen A. Smith can talk politics. Gavin Newsom sitting down with Charlie Kirk. They are trying to realign. They're going to moderate. Now, the big play here, obviously, Gavin Newsom's getting backlash from Democrats. They're probably going to come after me. I say the Democrat machine, the political machine, the bureaucratic state is going to come after me hard for this segment we're about to do right now.
Uh-oh.
One of the biggest things that big mistakes are being made right now by the independent space. They don't have standards and practices. They don't have legal teams. And the corporate press may have. Here's what I think. I'll give you a simple story. Joe Rogan started to emerge with the Ustream show. It got very popular. Podcasts became prominent. And the corporate press overlooked this. If they wanted to stop the podcast presidency, they needed to make the move 8 or 9 years before it actually happened. Once Joe Rogan and many podcasts got as popular as they did, they lost control. They tried censoring. They shut down Paul Joseph Watson. They shut down Laura Loomer. They shut down Alex Jones, but it still wasn't enough. Audience were still flocking to this new medium that they did not invest in enough nor censor enough. So what happens? They start to realize, guys, we're going to lose this one. So I think you're correct in that approaching 2024, they said, let's not waste any of our resources. However, many people on the right have made tremendous errors in not actively paying attention to their standards and practices, namely around two big things. One, the simple one that's not as big a deal is how they approach fair use issues and citation and copyright. That's not going to be as big a deal. But the big issue is in this new podcasting space, ads are being sold, which are illegal. And many individuals on the right are reading pharmaceutical ads and they're reading ads for finance without looking into federal law. After we wrapped up the Culture War podcast this morning, I was talking to Dell and Dr. Malone, and I mentioned this. I said, we've had companies pitch to us. I don't want to name the companies, so if you guys know what I'm talking about here, I don't want to drag anybody or get any litigation. But there are people right now in the independent media space, pro-Trump, anti-establishment, who have been doing ad reads for prescription medications. That is heavily regulated by the FDA. And the first thing Dr. Malone said to me was, I saw this too. I don't understand. Why isn't the FDA going after them right now? I mean, this is heavily regulated. You can't just advertise prescription drugs. In some instances, it's illegal. I said finance as well. There are a lot of people that are doing ad reads for financial services, not realizing there are federal requirements as to what you're supposed to do if you are selling an ad or doing a read. And so the question then was, why aren't these agencies or anybody doing anything about it? Here's what I think. Here's what I said to him. I don't think the federal regulators under Donald Trump are going to start banning conservative and anti-establishment podcasters.
Not now.
No, YouTube will, though. YouTube is going to start nuking some massive channels with 5+ million subscribers who have been doing this. And big shows are going to get caught off guard right before the midterms or right before 2028. It's going to be sporadic. It won't be all at once. It won't be a mass wave because they're not stupid. It's going to be a decently sized podcast will get a strike. And YouTube's going to say, well, you were running ads for pharmaceuticals. That's actually against the rules, against the law. There have been several instances where sales reps have come to me and said, what do you think about this product? And I go, Kellen, look up the rules, look up the law. He comes back and says, that product's banned. I say, thank you, but no thank you. And they go, they respond to me, here's a list of everyone who's already done it. Yep. Every time I say, look, we have standards and practices here to a limited degree. Like we have lawyers, we have legal teams. We check the laws on these things. And we have a team that goes through what is and is not allowed to be advertised on whichever platform. YouTube has 2 sets of rules for this, AdWords and YouTube. And every time the company says, here's a list of prominent YouTubers who have already done the ad read. And I responded to them, that's great that other people are breaking the law and going to get themselves banned, but that doesn't mean we'll do it. And they say, you're leaving a lot of money on the table. And I say, sure am. So then the question is, why hasn't any of these platforms banned these people just yet? Now is not the time. You ban a big creator right now, what do you accomplish? However, within a couple months of an election, you ban a prominent Trump supporter like they did with Alex Jones, and those people back then. you're going to start having a visible dent put into the Republican machine, be it the midterms or 2028, whoever may be end up running. Yeah. I think we're going to see sporadic bans, and the narrative will then emerge. So-and-so got banned from YouTube, big channel with 3 million subscribers, a huge show. And then they're going to be on X being like, this is unfair. And then YouTube's going to come out and say, here's a list of 17 times they did an ad for a prescription drug in violation of federal law. And we only were just made aware of it. This is not political. They were selling drugs. And they are doing it. There are prominent podcasters selling drugs right now. I would say many of them illegally. And again,
you hit nail on the head. That's exactly what's going to happen. I've been saying on my podcast, the Griff Report, I said, yo, listen, the Democrat recovery program is built into the right wing.
Yep.
The mistakes of the right, you know how politics go. Nobody really talks about their platform. They just go, hey, look at what that guy did wrong. So that's what they're going to do. They're going to wait, let all the Republicans make all these mistakes. We're going to be talking about one of the mistakes later in the show. But the other thing is the Democrats actually don't even have to have a platform. They're going to sit back and let the Republicans create their platform. Because, for example, when you go look back in the day, they had something called an anti-Mason party. An anti-Mason party was starting to galvanize votes. Then they brought a candidate in. That candidate picked up the anti-Mason talking points. Anti-Mason party goes away. So all the Democrats have to do is sit back and wait, see what people care about, see what Republican talking points they got, and then compete on those same talking points. And you're going to see a more center Democrat party than you've seen in a while.
So on top of that, as you already mentioned, Hotep, they've got the moderation happening. Gavin Newsom agreeing with Charlie Kirk on core anti-wokeness, anti-gender ideologies.
Yeah,
it has begun.
Switch.
Then what we're going to see is the mass investment into podcasts like this. One of the things I mentioned to Dell and Dr. Malone was Rachel, and I said this on the show, Rachel Maddow getting $25 million a year is money flushed down the toilet. Mm-hmm. You give $5 million, it is. Nobody watches her show. It's no disrespect, but her audience is predominantly 70 plus.
Some disrespect.
Some, but I mean no disrespect to the elderly. But you take $5 million, you choose any one of the top liberal podcasters. You say, here are the talking points. Gender ideology is out. We don't want none of that. We're for the working class. We're moderating. Here's your talking points. Here's $5 million, and here's $20 million in Google and Billboard and TV ads. You will now be the biggest podcast in the world so long as you stay within these confines. You know these people are going to say yes. At the same time, tons of prominent independent podcasters are going to start going popping across the board, channels getting shut down, and it's never going to be political. They're going to come out and they're going to say, we have no choice but to shut this channel down because they were doing financial ads without proper financial disclosures required by law. And they did it 53 times over the course of 4 or 5 years. So I think we'll see a series of things. For one, how we've seen censorship occur on Twitter before it was X and on YouTube is, if you're a small to mid channel, you get nuked instantly without warning.
Right.
If you're a bigger channel, they'll give you a warning, take down 17 of your videos, and then say, well, you broke the rules, and try and push you to the brink where they can make the ban not be a big splash. I think we're going to see big channels get banned. I think it's going to be, first, it's going to be as simple as we issued a strike on this channel and a 2-week suspension of live streaming and uploading because they sold drugs. We are not banning them, but this is illegal, and it's going to be right in the midterm period. You do that 100 times to some of the top podcasts, and you have put a dent in the narrative machine for the right. You don't need to ban them outright. You need to create enough negative pressure so that more people get the liberal podcast and a moderated view, and less people get the right anti-establishment podcasts.
Boom, nailed it.
Do you think that this is him, Gavin Newsom, gearing up for 2028?
Yep.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
People are going to forget people have such short attention spans, and he's likable enough to the politically uninitiated that all of the things that have gone wrong in California just won't register with a lot of people.
Charlie Kirk is one of the sharpest cats out here. Young Thundercat. Tough dude to debate, knows his stuff. Gavin Newsom was right there hanging with him in that debate. He looked very sharp. And I saw Gavin Newsom in the debate. Was it Vivek? What did he debate? Who did he have to during the elections? Was it DeSantis?
Yeah.
He looked sharp then, too. Gavin Newsom's very sharp. You watch out for him. It's going to be Newsom versus Vance next election.
You think Vance?
I think Vance.
Yeah.
It's a hunch, mostly because we're starting to see the Vance memes everywhere. You see the Vance baby memes.
So good, man.
I'm like, are they about to meme him straight? And then the other thing was, When we saw dark Vance, last week was Zelensky. We saw another side of Vance. He embarrassed Zelensky, made him pull his pants down. Whoo.
Was it you? Who was it who mentioned the emo Vance? I chime in with you. Haven't you people ever heard of Stopping the Goddamn War? That was
Great
emo
line.
Vance. That was so good. And like, you have these liberal outlets trying to make it seem like the right is mad about the Vance memes. It's like we're doing it too, man.
He likes it. He's even said he finds them funny.
They're really
getting
good.
shared on
Everybody's enjoying them, man.
And, hey, but the left is making the Trump mistake again. They are making Vance a household name and prominent in minds, and attention is currency.
And meanwhile, they're making the cringy choose your fighter video, which I literally died from watching. I think I actually got AIDS from watching that video.
It's going around like
It was
that, yeah.
it was awful.
Fox News won't stop playing it.
It's
For real. It's like day 3 now, and they've played it every show. I'm just like,
and this is the thing: if they had leadership, somebody would have stopped them from making that video. Like somebody they would have given that video an upload to somebody in power, and him like, no. This can't go out. You have no idea what you're doing right now.
honestly, they would have Mr. Burns pressed the button and the floor trap would have opened. They'd get launched in the chute to eject out of the building.
Yeah, I think they set themselves up like Jay Reed. You know, the next time it comes around, they're going to get midterm. You're going to see a whole new crew, a whole new cast, people you never heard of going to pop out the woodwork and take a lot of people's
But
spots.
hold on real quick. What if the point of that video was to actually harm the credibility of progressive left Democrats?
It's doing a fantastic job.
It is, isn't it? And so imagine you're a Newsom acolyte. You're in the camp where it's like, we're going to moderate on these issues and we're going to try and recapture the center. First thing we got to do is we got to nuke the squad. What do? Hey, guys, we're making this video. Hey, how about 22 senators all make the same video? You do these things to weaken them so that you can supplant them in the
Do
party.
you think is Hakeem Jeffries somebody you would consider closer to center?
I don't know about closer to center.
But
I
more
wouldn't say he's closer to center, but he gonna come center.
Yeah. Right.
He gonna get there. He's smart enough to know to see which way the wind is blowing.
then he's saying to them, he's like, look, don't wear costumes, don't carry signs at this event. We need to look normal, we need to have decorum, and nobody's listening. And it's so weird how for the party that seems to fall in line with everything, they don't have any structured leadership.
It's because of the Civil War. It's because they haven't. It's because the progressives were so influential before they lost this last election. They really thought that all of the progressive policies and all the progressive talking points, they thought that they were in control. And when Kamala lost, regular Democrats and their donors, the guys that write the checks, are like, hey, this stuff didn't work. It's clearly unpopular with the American people, so we don't want to touch it. Look at the things the progressives are pushing. They're still pushing LGBT issues as if that's something that people, the average American cares about. It's not. Most Americans, again, whether you like it or not, most Americans are pro-Israel, and you've got all these people that are in the progressive group that are saying, that are talking about Palestine, and that are essentially, to Americans, to regular normal people that are not plugged into politics, this looks like, oh, they're siding with Hamas is the short version of it. That's what they see. And so they see all this stuff right before the election, and they lose the election because of it. Like, these policies are not popular.
Yeah.
So you've got the normal Democrats, right? The people that you would consider liberal Democrats, those people are making a play for control of the party. That's why John Fetterman is on X talking the way he does. That's why everybody was like, yeah, John Fetterman's actually got a point before the election. You've got Hakeem Jeffries that was saying this stuff to the people that were going to be at the joint session. Don't do this. And they do. They look like trash. And now you're only getting more people saying this is not the way that the Democrat Party is going to win in the future.
I got to warn everybody about Fetterman. So I'm watching Fox News with the wife. Mm-hmm. Fetterman pops up and makes a statement, as he does, trying to sound reasonable. And Allison says, so he's all right. He's a Democrat, right? He's trying to get he's trying to fix the party or whatever. And I said, look at how he votes. He's setting you up. People who are not as active as we are hear Fetterman and go, here we go. The Democrats are getting their act together. And then he walks right in and rubber stamps woke garbage. All that stuff.
It's four groups that's happening right now. You got people who got the call, people who didn't get the call, stupid people, and smart people. Okay. Now, some of the stupid people didn't get the call. Some of the smart people didn't get the call. people like Charlemagne is in that group who was smart and didn't get the call.
Yep.
You saw him immediately shift. Well, first of all, he was kind of Trumpish. As soon as Kamala ran, he was like, hold on, I got to align with the black folks. As soon as Kamala was there, he's like, hold on, we coming back.
At the very least, he would ask questions and be like, it sounds like you guys are making mistakes.
No.
And then
Yeah.
It was, come on, the moment Trump starts winning, he goes, were we lied to by the Democrats about Trump being a fascist?
He's smart.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
He knows.
So, yeah, look,
He knows. So that's like now the Democrats. You starting to look at the Democrats that are still pushing the woke stuff, and you like, bro, you can't read the.
Read the room.
Or Stephen,
Young Turks.
who was Stephen A. Smith talking to recently, where he's like, you guys got spanked and.
Stephen A. Smith's been doing his rounds. He just spoke to Candace Owens.
Yes.
He's talking about running. Stephen A. Smith is one of those people who didn't get the call, read the room, and said, hold on, we're going to bring this thing back center. Let's be reasonable. I don't want to be caught in the woke stuff. Then you'll be irrelevant. You'll be out like Jay Reid.
Yeah. I do want to say one thing. Let's celebrate the defeat of wokeness because Democrats are abandoning it, and that's we can breathe a sigh of relief. Real quick.
That's a W. That's a W.
I'm apprehensive about that. That there are attempts to just rebrand it. That will happen. They will just try to change the name. That you're seeing that in the government. In the bureaucracies
They're
now.
doing that at
People
Disney
used to
right
be-
now as well.
People that used to be head of DEI, et cetera, they're changing the names, but they will still implement the policies if they're allowed, and that will still be something, because these people that believe this, they truly believe it. They're ideologues, and as long as they're working in HR, they're going to hire people that agree with them.
Well, there's not much
HR
legs.
departments are the communist official party offices.
Yep.
You know what I mean? Yep.
There's not much legs in the wokeness because you have to think generationally. If you look at the young generation coming up, like I got twin boys that are 15, they're watching, the different streamers. A lot of the streamers say, we're not touching this politics stuff. We're not touching this woke stuff. We're just going to go make good content. So the Democrats and wokeness don't even have the next generation coming up. So there's not much legs on that.
Let me tell you, I had a segment today. If YouGov polling from I think it might have been a year ago or within the past few months, if you ask Democrats, have we done enough for LGBTQ people? For people who are elderly, something like 75% say we haven't. Gen Z says we've done enough. No joke. 78% of Gen Z is in the we've done enough or too much.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah, that's crazy.
I think that's going too much.
Yeah. It's true about the next generation too. I remember I think Kamala tried to talk to Kai Cenat, and he's like, no.
He said no.
He's like, no.
What?
Get the hell out of here
I
with
don't wanna
that.
touch that stuff. Yeah, you're going to taint me and mess up my brand?
Yeah.
Yeah, smart kid.
I feel like I can't ask this question without starting a 3-hour-long conversation about it. But I'm curious where you think the U.S. ends up on the issue of Israel with the younger generations, with people like Candace Owens. There are a lot of people who have broken from the right. And I don't mean the people who are obsessed with Jews. Certainly they've been screaming. But with Dave Smith, who is a more rational, critical of Israel and Israel funding, anti-interventionist, I've had a conversation with many libertarians and even some I would call like moderate conservatives who are pro-Israel. And the consensus seems to be leaning towards Israel must become self-sufficient of its own accord, like over a period of time. So it seems like the space we're in is either totally anti-Israel or Israel's cool, but not our problem. And the pro-Israel sentiment, which does exist, I don't think is strong enough to maintain an ongoing U.S. funding of Israel the way we've experienced it.
Are we talking like the politically initiated, or are you saying like the general sentiment within the country?
General public like Israel, but really aren't going to be doing much for it. They're not going to go vote for the most part on these things. What I mean is we are seeing more and more a combination of things. Staunchly anti-Israel individuals. Then you, of course, had what always existed, the I call them the Jews people. They think Jews are hiding on every rock. They're crazy. But obviously they're there. Mm-hmm. But you're seeing more prominent personalities be hypercritical of Israel. And it's become more of a mainstream conversation where you don't have the fervent, zealous pro-Israel anymore. So looking at Gen Z, I'm not talking about, these university protesters who are saying like free from the river to sea or whatever. Mm-hmm. I'm talking about the people you're mentioning who are playing video games who are going to be like, I don't want to be involved in any of that stuff. And you combine that with the other anti-Israel sentiment. I'm wondering if the next generation is going to be voting. We're going to see politicians who are basically like, nah, Israel, we out.
Well, is the idea here that you're going to get a next generation of people that are actually America first, that are saying, like, look, anti-war, like Ron Paul in 2008, and taken to its logical conclusion, it's saying, why are we anti-war about everything but this? And perhaps the next generation just takes that sentiment to say, you need to be self-sufficient. We can't be funding you. A lot of those people, they're not going to get into discussions about...
Can I throw a bomb in the conversation?
Yeah.
You can't be pro-America and not be pro-Israel.
He's gone.
He's left the room.
I'm interested to know exactly what he means by that. But look, there are going to be a significant portion of people that are going to be like, look, America should take care of America and we shouldn't be funding other countries. But there are a lot of people that have the impression that we just send them pallets of cash like we did to Iran. And when we send them money, what we're sending them is weapons that were made in America. So the United States prints money, sends it to weapons manufacturers in the United States. That money goes to people that work in the United States. It goes back into the U.S. economy, and then the weapons go to Israel. So
but people have been having that same conversation about Ukraine, right? That a lot of what we're doing is funding through weapons that are made here in America. Yep. And a lot of Americans saying, yes, but we have people here in America who are suffering through natural disasters where they're getting no aid whatsoever.
I don't want to fund American weapons either.
Exactly. That's what I'm saying.
I want a strong military. I want a strong military. I want well-paid men and women in uniform. But when they're like, don't worry, the $350 billion that were being spent on Ukraine actually was given to the military-industrial complex. I'm like, still bad.
But they're Americans in the American military-industrial complex. I'm like, no.
You know what would have been better off? Buying Greenland with that money. Yeah. Although, let's do the math. How much money would each citizen of Greenland get if we divvied up $350 billion?
Is it like 27,000 people or something like that? What's the
60?
Is that it?
Yeah, it's like a high school.
Each person would get $5.8 million.
I'm moving to Greenland right now. I'm out of here.
Yeah, and then we'd have Greenland. You know what I mean? And you can build stuff there. You can build Trump Tower.
Here's my thing.
We're not doing anything in Greenland.
When you're talking about Israel, right? What you're talking about is the great Western Empire that we all get to enjoy the perks of, okay? And Israel is our representative in the region to hold things down for us, okay? Now, first of all, we done put so much money into Israel, we gonna have to get an ROI on it.
So it's like sunken cost fallacy. We just have to stay out there.
You gotta stay out there until we get something, you know? Yeah. It gonna have to lock down some of the Golan Heights oil. This goes back to the fact that the Western Empire wanted to topple the Ottoman Empire. Okay, this is what this is all about. This is the Ottoman Empire we're talking about here, and we still got more territory to conquer. Iran's next. I'm supposed to save these takes for Joe Rogan and Alex Jones. I'm dropping them here. Iran's next. Everybody know what's on the plan. Come on, we all know what's going on. Iran's next. We took care of Iraq. This is the Western Empire. Either you love the perks of being an American in the Western Empire, or you don't. You want the Arabs doing? You want the Muslims doing?
A lot of people,
China, because China's going to, if you don't do it, somebody else is going to take that region.
Thanks for checking out this clip from Timcast IRL. Make sure to watch the show live Monday through Friday at 8 p.m. Subscribe to this channel, and we will see you all there.